actually going to share just some reflections. So I lead Cohere for AI. I'm a researcher. I lead a research team that works on these technical breakthroughs. And for me, this has been perhaps one of the most profound projects for a few different reasons. I want to start with a challenge. So for everyone who's watching live, we're going to go to the next slide. I'm going to share some stats about Aya, but while I do that, I want you to list the languages that you know. And let's see if we can get to 50 within the time and collectively to 50 unique languages. Type them in whatever platform you're using. I think we're streaming to a few right now, and just type in unique languages that you know or you've heard of. Um, and you'll probably sense that as you start to type, the first few come very quickly. And they're probably ones that you grew up with, or they're regions that were close to you. And then as you start to get to probably like 20, you start to struggle a little bit. And then you start to reach, oh, what are the other languages? Um, the tricky thing is that even if we get to 50, and I'm kind of curious, maybe someone can give me an update if we do in any of these different platforms, and any of you who are listening right now, imagine getting to 101 and doubling it. So this was the sheer enormity of the task that we started out with. And I'm not sure why we did it, frankly, if I think back, but for me personally, it was a challenge at the technical limit, but it was also a challenge at the heart of how technology is built and how it's shaped. And so these two elements are deeply intertwined. And I just want to say it's really profound to be here today to hear everyone sharing their stories and to hear how they contributed and how it shaped how they relate to the breakthroughs. But the sheer enormity of what we just released is really sometimes it's the data itself doesn't convey. We're releasing a state-of-art model, 513 million data points of rare multilingual data. It involved 3,000 people and collaborators all around the world, many of you whom you've met today, 56 language ambassadors, 119 countries. 204 really rare human annotations. So there's almost two severities. There's so little multilingual data that's instruction fine-tuned, but there's even less that's like cared for and seen by the actual practitioners of the language. And you've heard that a lot in talks today about really the fact that when we rely on open source data sets, often the quality is so bad, it's not usable to serve the speakers of that language. And we covered 101 languages. So hopefully you've been typing as we go, all the languages that you know or can think of. I will check at the end of this talk. Maybe Madeline can weigh in on where we got to. But our goal was 101. And I just want to go to the next slide to convey, because sometimes that sounds abstract until you start to see the names of the languages. And then you start to realize just how profound that is to tackle 101 languages. You see, the last 2 years I've been doing research on AI for a while. Before leading Cohere for AI, I was at Google DeepMind, and throughout it all, the last decade, in a way, has been a series of breakthroughs in AI. The last 2 years have been dominated by this idea of breakthroughs for language and creating these powerful models that can generate language that connects with us as humans, that's very fluid, very rich. And it's almost all been in English. And the reason for that is that in these few places where these types of models are built, we weight what's most important to us. The same way that you weighted probably as you thought about what languages you could write for 100, the ones that were immediate to you, that were things that you grew up with or people that you've spoken languages with. And this is because language, as it is with all the ideas that we connect with, is very inherently personal and human. We often think of research and technical breakthroughs as solely the technical components, but even the ideas that we choose to work on are fundamentally influenced by who we collaborate with and what we weight in front of us as a problem. 101 languages is at the extreme limit of multilingual capabilities. Why does this matter? When you work on a problem in an extreme, it means that the challenges are so severe. Firstly, you have data scarcity, but then you have all the problems that we even have for English, really high quality AI generations. Like, how do we evaluate it? Like, how do we measure whether we're doing well in all languages? Um, we also have these challenges, such as understanding how we really make sure that different types of tasks are represented, not just, the everyday write an email, but things like give me recommendations or what is this national holiday? And so we had to do that not just for one languages, but for 101. But when you are working at the extreme, it means that any progress that you make trickles down. And that's what I'm fundamentally very proud of from a technical perspective. The model that we're releasing is state of art. And what it means is that all the innovations that we did, which were data, but also how we weighted within the model, also that we remove bad quality data, also translate to training for smaller groups of languages. And because we release all the data, the model itself, and all the components, everyone can now start to adapt these models for their own languages. But the one thing I do want to talk about, and this is the kind of getting towards the end of our time together, is that not only was this a technical breakthrough and is important for research as a whole and multilingual, but it's also been a profound moment where we've created an ecosystem of researchers around the world who are invested in these problems. We've released a model, and we've released a paper and many other things. And this is exciting to celebrate. And it's one of the reasons we're all here today. But the true benefit, I think, is that we've connected with a lot of researchers around the world who are working on these problems, a lot of entrepreneurs and local companies who want to make sure technology solves their problems and represents them, as well as civil societies. And this remains beyond a single project. My observation, and this is a personal one, is that we create breakthroughs in very narrow spaces in the world. And typically what this means is that we miss out on big ideas. This profound notion that we would serve 101 languages led to a lot of technical observations, but also just learnings that could not have happened if it wasn't in the structure. But it also sets the path for what comes next, which is that this is just the beginning. So I invite you, we're a very unique lab in the sense that we have both the traditional industry lab as well as we have the ability to collaborate widely. Aya came out of our ability to collaborate widely. I invite you to join the research community to propose ideas, to join us in the next chapter. There's a long way to go for multilingual. It remains very underserved in different ways, but there's also many ideas which benefit from multiple people working on them. And this is a critical component of this type of project, is that it really forces you to examine all your assumptions about what should work and how it should work.